Washington News, the House scrapping a plan yesterday for a vote to advance two economic proposals. The chamber will reconvene today as Democrats try to break a stalemate on how to proceed with President Biden's economic agenda. For more on what investors should expect, let's welcome Congressman John YARMUTH of Kentucky, Budget Committee Chairman, and Congressman Jason Smith of Missouri, the committee's ranking member. Congressman YARMUTH, a point we made earlier was that even if the Speaker Pelosi and the left did get its way and get a vote on the reconciliation before you did the overall infrastructure that's already been arrived at, there's a lot of moderate Democrats that you don't have on board for $3.5 trillion, aren't there?
There are a few. There's no question about it, Joe, and that's the political reality we face. We have a very diverse caucus. We have very liberal members and some more moderate members, and the important thing to remember, though, is that the content of the $3.5 trillion plan, which is basically what we call soft infrastructure. These are support for American families and education and so forth, and climate change policy. These are enormously popular, not just with our caucus overall, but with the American people. So while we may have a slight difference on how much we should spend on which type of initiative, overall, we have almost unanimous support in the caucus for that. But we do have enough people who want to hold us hostage to get what they want. You
got the other ones done. And you've got some Republicans that a lot of Republicans are mad at the Republicans that signed on to the bipartisan deal, and you've got that done. Why don't you get while the getting's good, and then you're not going to get $3.5 trillion. So get while the getting's good on the 1.2, and then start bargaining for what you are able to get moderate Democrats on. And I don't, what do you call it, a soft infrastructure? I came up with a better term. What about metaphysical, instead of physical infrastructure, metaphysical infrastructure?
Metaphysical. Well, I think things like child care and early childhood. I think things like child care and early childhood education and community college and other things like that aren't really metaphysical issues.
It's not infrastructure. Congressman, it's not infrastructure. It's a Democratic wish list for what you've wanted for the last 50 years. It's not infrastructure.
Well, it happens to be that as well, but that's all right. You know, the plan, Joe, when the Biden administration released it, they didn't call it infrastructure. There was the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, and they represented, I think, a visionary approach to what this country needs to make sure that a generation or two from now, we have a viable society and economy.
Congressman Smith, is that how you view it? You might have a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I definitely have a different viewpoint. This $3.5 trillion spending package is nothing but a disaster. It's a job that rewards political friends, allies, and donors. It puts tax increases on all working class families. It increases taxes on job creators to such a degree that it would make our tax rates higher than that of communist China. Right now, we're facing four major crises in this country: an inflation crisis, a border crisis, an energy crisis, and an Afghanistan crisis. This piece of legislation only makes all of those four even worse.
What do you think is going to happen, Jason, in terms of how does this move forward or does it not move forward? There's certain things you're not going to be able to stop, as I'm talking about the Republicans.
Joe, they simply don't have the votes. That's why we're at a standstill right now. The week of July 12th, we were supposed to have a markup in the Budget Committee on this budget resolution. They had to cancel because they didn't have the votes. Before the August recess, we were going to pass the House budget off of the House floor. They didn't have the votes. Last night, we were going to pass the budget resolution through a deeming rule through the United States House of Representatives. They did not have the votes. At the current moment, they're about to go into a conference at 9 o'clock because they don't have the votes. The reason why they don't have the votes is because those moderate members have been back home in their congressional district and they're hearing from their constituents that this is the wrong plan at the wrong time for all the wrong reasons.